7-year-old son cannot tweet because if he could, he would probably say, "Dad, get off the phone, get Lego on the stage immediately." So, and I'm serious. Okay, let's see. All right, the green, okay. Okay. Three messages I wanted to get across quickly to preface our conversation. Number one, fundamentals still matter in digital. Number two, message quality is more important than ever in the digital and social context. And then number three, don't underestimate digital as an operating principle. And that point will be clear in just a moment. Now, first, a little bit about Nestlé, world's leading nutrition, health, and wellness company. We have a lot of brands. I won't mention them all. I have a few of them listed. There's a few more French brands that aren't there, such as Vitel. But to put things in perspective, we sell about 1.2 billion products a day. In India, for example, 2.4 billion cups of Nescafe a year. So a lot of volume. We have about 320,000 proud employees globally. And we're committed to a concept known as creating shared value, which basically is the belief that long-term shareholder value equals creating value for society. Very, very important foundation. In terms of about my role, like many of you who are doing digital, this pretty much sums up the world I live in. I've been in the global headquarters for about a year and a half, and keeping up with digital is pretty much as you see it. If you think about what's kind of unusual about my role is, if you think about before my role came about, you had kind of two divisions between corporate communications and consumer communications. I actually report to both sides, and I think this is becoming very, very common for digital leaders where we're starting to soften silos in organizations, and I would encourage those of you that are thinking about your digital design to maintain a flexibility about the overlapping nature of digital. Now, like many of you, I struggle daily with what I characterize as digital dualisms. You know, those of us that are leading in this space, there are no absolutes. We often have to deal with tension points. And a few of them that I deal with at Nestlé, local versus global, very, very complicated in a social media world where a crisis or brand news in a local region suddenly becomes news to everybody, especially in a world of Google search. Stimulation versus integration. We often think about, do we integrate digital into the whole brand building effort, or do we need a stimulus? I would say I'm kind of a classic stimulus where coming in to really push the digital agenda, but we know over time this gets integrated into the core operations. Gatekeeper versus enabler. I think those of us leading digital are often thinking about, we obviously have rules, guidelines that we need to enforce, brand building principles, but at the same time we want to enable the organization to really unleash its full potential. And then obviously leadership versus management. Now, number one, fundamentals still matter. The one thing that I think has really helped us as Nestlé is that we haven't put digital in a far-off silo. We've always been very, very true to our brand building fundamentals. We have something known as brand building the Nestlé way, and it's almost a pre-digital concept that if you really internalize it, it helps to take digital to new levels. So we have these different rooms in our brand building house, such as inspire with brand vision and essence, delight with product experience. But you see a few of them where we just know that digital takes it to a new level, creating engaging brand experiences. What could be more engaging than the things that we're doing on Facebook or with next generation customer service or in online communities? Know your consumers deeply. We know, those of us who are passionate about digital know there is rich data and insight in the conversation, in consumer intent modeling, and the way we follow consumer behavior online. But the key point I want to suggest to you, because I know many of you are looking to build your digital organizations, sell management, even on the agency side, don't stray too far away from the fundamentals. They actually help in many, many more ways than you possibly could imagine. And it's worked at Nestlé. Now, from this kind of core brand building framework, we focus on 3 key pillars. They sound very simple, but they've been very important to keeping us grounded and focused on what matters: listening, engaging, and inspiring and transforming. I talked a moment about the listening piece. The engaging one is the area that I think CPG and FMCG companies struggle the most. We historically have been in a mass advertising model. Now we have to figure out how to develop meaningful, trusted, authentic relationships with consumers, and that takes work. That takes a lot of iteration. And then inspiring and transforming is really about how the better, faster, smarter principles of the web bring new opportunity to the enterprise faster, changing innovation models. Now, number 2, message quality matters. And I think we lose sight of this all the time in the digital space. We have put an enormous amount of focus on getting the core creative ideas right, recognizing that if we hit the sweet spot, they will work irrespective of platforms. And we see this constantly where, and it's not just to say everything's about the TV ad that amplifies, but the core creative idea can take you to many, many places, and we've tried to stay disciplined to this. What you're looking at is a grid that we call ROBI, Return on Brand Building Investment, and we know from many, many years of experience that there's a clear correlation between message quality and ROI. We know that from our ad copy testing and the like. What I think is happening now is where I think the curves have been intensified in a world of digital, where the message quality that falls short of expectation is being severely punished by consumers. We call that spurn media, not earned media, but spurn media. And on the positive side, you know, the great creative is really getting further amplified. You're actually getting more credit for the great creative idea in a world where sharing is friction-free. And we believe that is a really big brand-building opportunity. So think about 3 kind of things that we have tried to really stay close to. Number 1, minimize avoidance and rejection. So we got to move away from this world where we're slapping consumers in the face with interruptive, annoying advertising. Maximize impact, sociability, and sharing. So taking that great creative and thinking about how do we really amplify it in meaningful ways. And this takes work. This takes operations. We've got about 600 Facebook pages, and there's a lot of test and learn going on in terms of how to get that proposition right. And then, of course, do it consistently at scale if you really want to have a meaningful business impact. And this also is both a challenge and an opportunity. Now, a couple examples that kind of bring this to life. Number 1, we have a brand in the U.S., Skinny Cow, which is kind of a low-calorie, ice cream brand that I think has really taken digital to new heights. They've really nailed their brand essence, their brand voice. The Skinny, the cow, is the brand character is the sassy girlfriend. And if you look at what's going on in Twitter or on Facebook, the brand is highly desirable. And it's played out in terms of advocacy, increase in earned media, and the like. One thing the brand has done extremely well is there are core operations behind getting this right. There are do's and there are don'ts. There are standards. And we see a lot of, reckless might be too extreme a word, but a lot of brands are going far off their brand essence in their online conversations. Here's a brand that's been very, very disciplined on its core foundations, and it's being rewarded severely. Now, how do we know that? We know that because, like a lot of you, we're putting a lot of discipline on measuring paid, owned, and earned media. And what's interesting when you look at the data from the Skinny Cow brand, upwards of 1/3 of the media impressions are coming from non-paid sources. And we believe that those percentages are likely to go up even more. So owned media might be the post on the Facebook page that the brand puts out there to a high number of followers that show up in the news feeds or get rewarded by the EdgeRank algorithm. and the earned is obviously in the sharing area. But we know that with the right level of discipline, the opportunity to intensify media spread goes up significantly. Another example is, let's kind of take it close to home to France. Our Contracts brand, I think, has done an exceptional job of thinking about how to really amplify the big idea. The big idea is slimming can be fun. And many of you may be very familiar with, I think, what was one of the most successful YouTube videos last year, certainly in France, but way beyond France, where it was a long-form spot that I think the brand did an exceptional job fanning the flames of sharing, virality, highly integrated. There was TV, but TV was just a piece of the mix. What I thought I'd do is they just a few days ago put out their most recent spot, which is a follow-up, and let's run the reel, and then I'll say a few words. Now, too early to tell, but we're very happy with the numbers so far, and it hasn't aired on TV yet. And again, that's partly the point, where we're trying to, think about how do we amplify earned media on a great creative concept. And my colleagues are here from Nestlé France. Congrats, it's one of my favorite campaigns. Another good example, I think, listen, we're all working on apps. I think they're really, really hard. And they have to have a compelling service proposition. My favorite one, and I'm not just pandering to the local region, is the Nestlé dessert one here in France, where I think the reason why it's so sticky and has upwards of 10% of all French iPhone users is that it really fulfills a compelling unmet need. High use of video, instruction, great consumer understanding around the holiday occasion, dessert making experience and the like. And I think it's really important to get very, very deep into what those needs are before you put a lot of money and investment into these apps. Now let me say a word about digital's operating principle. We have really thought hard about what does it take to build a digital culture. Is it a trip to Silicon Valley? Is it bringing an inspirational speaker to Vevey? Let me kind of run a reel on what we have tried to do. And it's a work in progress, but we're really pleased with the results so far.
Welcome to the Digital Acceleration Team in Vevey. My name is Hannelore Grams and I'm the Program Manager. We are here to support brands, SBUs, markets, and zone initiatives to help them to achieve and to accelerate their digital roadmaps. While we're doing this, we're working around over 3 core disciplines. Those are listening, engaging, inspiring, and transforming. Our first team has been chosen based on digital background and appetite and was made of brand and digital managers and digital corporate communication people. Each team is staying in Vevey for 8 months. During this stay, they experience hands-on brand community management, they are involved in strategic digital and social projects, and they run through an intense training program around our 3 core disciplines. We hope to see you soon here. Thank you very much.
We just finished our first class of 12 DAT members from across the globe, intensive 8 months, and it was really a transformative experience, especially for me, because you're going into these problems that are largely unanswered. No one's cracked the code on scalable community management. We're all still struggling with effective real-time 24/7 listening. We're trying to figure out how to flatten silos in organizations, create more of an open culture, and it's been a really interesting experience. And we just started another class that's going on a different type of journey, but don't be afraid to test new organizational models. That too, in addition to getting the brand fundamentals right, is really important to getting to your desired digital and marketing destination. And we're trying a lot of things. I mean, in addition to, we're doing crowdsourcing like many of you. This is something that's been going really well with our Nescafé Dolce Gusto brand, with our Euro Design Contest. We'll hear a lot more from Lego, not even close to that, but a good step for Nestlé. We're also thinking about things like, how, in the spirit of the DAT, how do you take the things that we love outside and apply it internally? Can we build a YouTube for Nestlé employees to drive how-to? How do we scale teaching and learning? I'm not sure what the answer is, but it's really important to test these things. And when you're in a radically decentralized network like Nestlé, the sharing is a really important principle, in our view, to drive meaningful competitive advantage. So 3 things. Fundamentals still matter. The messaging is more important than ever. And don't underestimate digital as an operating principle. Thanks.